Hello everybody, my name is Joanne OP, Dr. Joanne OP, and I am the programme lead for the Clinical Sciences course here at the University of Leicester. I've joined you today to give you an overview of the Clinical Sciences course as it stands currently. So let me advance my slides. So that's who I am. On the course, I teach the Introduction to Cellular Physiology and Pharmacology unit. At the University of Leicester, I help to run the group work sessions for that unit. What we're going to cover in this presentation is looking at the BSc Clinical Sciences course at the University of Leicester. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the course and some information about the admissions and entry requirements for the course. A little bit of background about the University of Leicester. It's one of the universities that has been set up by the community. So it was set up by the community of Leicester after the First World War as a sort of living memorial to the people who died during the First World War. So the university's motto is Ut vitam habeant, which means that they may have life. So it's quite a poignant reminder of conflict and memory of that founding nature of the university. Some statistics with regard to the university. We have quite a good global and national reputation. So they're the rankings in the Times Higher, the Complete University Guide, Good University Guide, and the World University Ranking, and also the Research Excellence Framework that's carried out with regard to research across universities in the UK. That's the standing for the university as a whole, and I'll give you a few more statistics later on, specifically thinking about our course that sits within the Leicester Medical School. The other things that the universities are measured against is the Teaching Excellence Framework, and the most recent one of these was in 2023, and the University of Leicester was given a gold award here. So this is looking at the quality of teaching that you get within the university. And from a perspective of the university as a whole, if you apply to the University of Leicester, all first-year students are guaranteed accommodation. If you're looking around at different universities, £69 a week for accommodation, which includes all bills, is quite a good price for accommodation. So it's quite cheap place to live. And if you we have two sites for university accommodation, one of them being called the Village, which is a little distance away from the main campus, but the university provides a free shuttle bus for students to travel between the Village and campus, so that you don't have to worry about travel costs there. So if we think about the clinical medicines, as I say, as students on the BSc Clinical Sciences course do their first 2 years sitting alongside the medical students. So if we think more specifically about medical education and research within that REF, the University of Leicester Medical School was ranked second in the UK. And for the Times Higher World Rankings, the Clinical and Health Sciences, we're ranked 14th in the UK. We're one of the top 3 universities with regard to COVID-19 research, and there's lots of other groundbreaking research happening within the University of Leicester, looking into things like diabetes, cancer, heart failure, respiratory conditions, and we have a precision medicine institute and the biomedical research centre. So lots of research involved with regard to medicine and areas around medicine. So we study alongside the medical students in years 1 and 2. So why study within the medical school? It's a very patient-focused curriculum, and everything in the first 2 years of a medical course is very focused on the science underpinning medicine, which is the science part of our degree. But it's also very focused on how that science can be applied clinically. So all of the teaching applies that scientific knowledge to the human body and any clinical conditions. From the latest National Student Satisfaction Survey, Leicester is in the top 10% for medical schools, and that's also replicated on the Good University Guide. There's lots of innovations in the medical school teaching alongside traditional approaches as well. So all the students within the medical school are given iPads when they start to help them access all the content on the virtual learning environment. We use lots of 3D printed models and 3D reconstructions to help you learn. So that's sort of like the innovation, but then the traditional approach is that Leicester Medical School is one of the few remaining medical schools in the country that still do full cadaveric dissections. So you won't be looking at pro sections, things that somebody has prepared for you. You will be working as a group to actually dissect a cadaver throughout your first and second year. There's dedicated student support within our department, and also there's a Centre for Empathic Healthcare linked to the medical school, and that feeds information in and content into the overall years 1 and 2. And the most of the teaching is done in the George Davis Centre, which this is a picture of, which has it's a fairly new building and has outstanding facilities for helping your learning. So a little bit more about the Clinical Sciences course itself. So BSc Clinical Sciences has taken the first 2 years of scientific learning from the medical school and combined it with a precision medicine year for the final 3rd year. So this has combined the studying of medicine with cutting-edge scientific methods and practice. So one of the things that University of Leicester are keen is to make sure that all the teaching on the courses is underpinned by research, and throughout years 1 and 2, the science within that is underpinned by looking at evidence-based practice. What is the best practice for treating people with various different conditions? And then in our 3rd year, all of our 3rd year modules are precision medicine modules, if I can say it, that look specifically at different areas of different body systems and what is the latest research in this area. So a lot of the lecturers who teach in the 3rd year are researchers, and coming to talk to you about their latest research. So lots of cutting edge science information given in that 3rd year to build on the evidence-based practice research that you get in years 1 and 2. So the course itself, having this level of information, is going to prepare you for working in various different industries allied to medicine. So things like pharmaceutical and healthcare industries, maybe a health or social care profession. You could join the NHS science training program, which would train you to become a clinical scientist. You could go into academic or clinical research, and some of our students follow on and do postgraduate medicine after our course. The type of teaching approach that we use within the course is lots of information is given to you at the beginning of a week with lectures. So lectures are used to give you an overview of the content of that week, and then these are followed up by different sessions. So if it's a module where we're looking at sort of science perspective, so lab work, that might be, the lectures might be followed up with some lab sessions. If you're looking at statistical information, it might be followed up with a computer class. If it's the one of the science modules from the first year, then it would be followed up with a group work session. And some of the coursework is to give presentations or poster presentations. And there's also independent study as well, particularly as you go through the course, the amount of independent study that you're expected to do will increase. We do like students to work in groups. One of the benefits of this is that universities are encouraged to build in transferable skills into courses, and one of the main transferable skills that you can leave university with is the ability to work as a team. So the group work sessions help you to develop your teamwork, and it's much nicer to work with other people and share ideas and learn from each other whilst you're trying to work on the problem. So the group work helps two things. It helps you to share your understanding, learn from each other, develop your understanding more by teaching somebody or helping somebody grasp a concept, but it's also building your team working skills as well. Those group work sessions are led by experts, so we usually have clinical teaching fellows who facilitate the group work in years 1 and 2, and in year 3 we have PhD students who help to facilitate the group work as teaching assistants. As I said earlier, the University of Leicester Medical School is one of the few medical schools who still have a full dissecting room, and when you join in years 1 and 2, you will work as a group with your own cadaver, following the instructions in the dissecting room to carry out the dissections within each of the body systems. So as you look at each of the different body systems, you're going to the dissecting room to look at that particular area that you're looking at in that week. This is a photo taken at one of our away days, where we work together as members of staff looking at the course and building the course, and the information here is to show that all of the members of staff are still research active. So these different things listed here are some of the research areas that our members of staff are involved in, alongside doing the teaching on the course. So a little bit more about what the course involves. As I said, years 1 and 2 mirrors the medical school curriculum. So our modules package the medical school units. This slide's color coded, so everything of the same color is one module. So the top module, the orange module, includes body logistics, which looks at the basics of the how cells join to make tissues, what different types of tissues there are in the body and things like that. That's combined with population and social sciences unit 1, which looks at the social determinants of health, what different things affect people's health. And population and social sciences 2 is more looking at epidemiology, what affects the health of populations as opposed to specific people. What are the things that affect population health, and how can we research the population health? The next module, the yellow one, that's the first unit, is specific to our course, the clinical sciences course, because as on our course you're learning the science that underpins medicine in order to be a scientist. So this unit takes you, and you do some lab work in this unit, and that lab work is then, the assessment is then to write up a report based on the lab work that you do. So that introduces you to doing lab work, but also to reading scientific literature and how to read it critically, and to pick out the important things to decide whether that's actually a good piece of research that you're looking at. And that's combined with the module on infection, so looking at how infection invades the body and how the body responds to infection, and that links very closely with pathological processes that happen in the body. So pathological processes are often triggered by an infection, so those two units link very well together. And then we have the grey or light blue module, which is metabolism, endocrinology and hematology. So looking at how the body systems work together to maintain the metabolism, and then looking at cell biology and genetics, looking at what the inside of the cell, which you're probably looking at in biology, but looking at it in a little bit more detail, and also picking up on genetics that you're already familiar with, but again looking at that in more detail. And then the final module in year one is starting to look at the body systems. So we start to look at the cardiovascular system in more detail, the musculoskeletal system in more detail, and also look at how we can start to treat things by thinking about how substances move into a cell. So looking at proteins on the cell membrane and how we can use those as targets to treat conditions. So that's year one. And then in year two, again, we look at the different body systems in more detail. So the gastrointestinal system, the urinary system, the respiratory system, the reproductive system, looking at the head and the neck and neuroanatomy, so the anatomy of the brain and the cranial nerves. And then looking at the clinical neurosciences, look at the nervous system in a little bit more detail, and also includes things like mental health as well within there. Then we've got the immune system. And then at the end of year two, we move on to looking at how you might bring all of this information together, thinking about applying it clinically, but also thinking about how you might prescribe not just medicine, as in drugs, but also other therapeutics that you could be used. So, for example, for cancer, it might be radiotherapy as a therapeutic treatment. Between year two and year three, if you like to, you could take a year out in industry and do a year-long placement. So it's the equivalent of a year study, but it would be working with in a research lab, or working in a healthcare lab, where you would get to experience what it would be like to move into that area postgraduate. Our final year, as I said earlier, is a precision medicine year, looking in more detail at the renal system and the cardiovascular system, which are very closely linked, and then looking at the public health, so looking at how you measure public health, either using statistics or by asking people questions about how they feel about their health. And then we've got the respiratory system in more detail, but also looking at cancer. So that unit takes you from a journey from the cellular perspectives of cancer right through to the different treatments available, and then looking into the future about future research into cancer. And then finally, at the end of year three, you get the opportunity to do your own research project. And that could be a research project working in a lab, or it could be looking at data. So you might choose to do what's called a systematic review, where you look at what research has already been published around an area, and to answer a research question. So this, for example, is a final year project that two of our students were involved in. This student was the third year student. This student actually was a second year student, and this was our member of staff who delivers our renal unit. and they were involved in this research, and they were also involved in the publication of the research. One specific thing about our course is the fact that it is delivered also in partnership with Chongqing Medical University in China. So whilst you're studying the clinical sciences course in the UK, there are also students studying it in China, and those students from Chongqing Medical University have the opportunity to study their third year at the University of Leicester. So currently we have about 80 students in our third year. 10 or so of those are the UK students, and the rest of them have joined us from CQMU in China. We have what's called the Programme for International Partnership, which allows the students at the University of Leicester to talk to these students from China virtually and interact with them before they arrive on the Leicester campus in their third year. But it's also a chance to understand the global challenges in clinical research and also in the healthcare settings because of that link with the other university. What things do we have to support you? Well, when you join the university, you will have a personal tutor. We also have a student welfare service, and if you're having trouble with accessing some of the content or understanding some of the content in the module or the unit, you can make an appointment with the unit or module lead for further discussion. All lectures are recorded, so that you can go back to them to help you with your revision. And we also have a digital or a virtual learning environment where all of the lecture slides are and all of the workbooks that accompany the lectures are available. The library has lots of online journals and electronic books and physical books too, so that you can access all of the background reading required for the different units. Finally, one of the systems we have in place, because students on the clinical sciences course study alongside medical students, we have the agreement with the medical school that our students have the potential to apply to transfer onto the medical course at the end of year one. So we have a number of students who join our course because their application to medicine has been unsuccessful either through the main cycle of the UCAS or at clearing. And as long as you've got an A and 2 Bs in your A-level results and have the 6 or more GCSEs, you can join our course and do our year one, and providing you get a course weighted average, so an average course across our first year of more than 17%, you can apply to transfer to the medical course. So getting that 70% or more on our course is the first step. Then you have to do the up-to-date CAT test, and then you would do the medical resit exams in the summer and have an interview. So there are a number of steps in the process. It's not a guaranteed process. It's the potential to transfer is only available if there are places on the medical course. Over the last few years, we have had some students who were successful in this application and transfer and have done well on the medical course as well. So it's an opportunity. It's not guaranteed though, and it's dependent on there being places on the medical course at that application in that application cycle. What can you do with the clinical sciences course degree if you stay on the course? You can do lots of things. So we have one student last year who graduated, has gone straight on to do a PhD. of the students who graduated last year, a quarter of them have gone on to postgraduate medicine, and one student has gone to do a master's in social work. One of the students has gone on to join the NHS science training programme, so doing a master's in clinical science. And you could also apply for a physician assistant course or other healthcare management courses. Applying to Leicester, A-level wise for applications, we're looking for two A's and a B. That should include biology or human biology or chemistry at a grade A. And you'll need to have a minimum grade of two A's and a B across your 3 subjects. GCSE wise, we're looking for double science, maths, English, and chemistry or biology at grade B or grade 6. And what we do with applications is we score based on your GCSE grades, and then the highest ranking candidates are offered places. We do take other applications and other entrance requirements. So if you do HE diploma, access to the HE diploma or an international baccalaureate as well. If you're an international student, we require an IELTS score of 7.5 with at least 7 in each component of the assessment. If you're an international student and have other international qualifications, then you can contact the admissions team via that that email address, and they will see how those convert to the UK qualifications, how equivalent they are to the UK qualifications. When we look at your application, we do look for evidence that you will be able to fulfil the objective of the course and achieve the standards required, which is why we also have the those A-level requirement grades, or our requirement grades are at those levels. We don't usually interview, but we do invite all offer holders to come along to an offer holder day where you have a chance to have a look around the university, learn a little bit more about Leicester and also about the course. So why study at Leicester? We've got excellent facilities. The whole course is focused on the clinical application of science. A lot of lectures are followed up with group work to help support your learning, but also helping you to develop team working skills. As I said, you've got that cadaveric dissection opportunity, which is rare now in the UK, and plenty of opportunity for self-development and to be part of the community which exists at the University of Leicester. Internationally acclaimed research underpins the teaching, most definitely in the 3rd year, and also the evidence-based teaching across the first 2 years as well. So all in all, we have a unique experience for you, linking especially with the students coming over from CQMU in China. And that's the end of my slides. Are there any questions?
Thanks so much. We've not submitted, and we're currently wait to see if anyone's got more, but otherwise we can wrap up if you're happy to.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to.
Yeah, cool. Thanks so much. That was great.
Okay, thank you. Bye.